Hello, everyone. It is a Friday, and we are going to talk about some real estate today because that's what we do on a Friday. Because there's things going on, and we should talk about it. We have homes on the market that we're seeing a lot of price reductions. Sellers are, I don't want to say panicking, they kind of are, but not all of them. And we're just seeing a lot of push pull in the market. So we are going to talk about that, what it really means, what we're seeing out there in the market right now. And to talk about that, we're going to bring in my friend Joe. Oh boy, we've had some little technical difficulties in the beginning. So sorry if we were a little.
Yeah, right. Technology
today. How are you, Joe?
Technology is great when it works, and then when it doesn't, it's like we're left floundering.
I know. We don't know what to do with ourselves.
I know. But there, like you were saying, Sean, in the intro, there is a lot to talk about. Obviously, there's always good market updates. We have a government shutdown that is adding some spice to things. The Fed still continues to be the topic of many hot conversations. We have inventory and supply doing their thing. So yeah, a lot going on, which, is interesting because normally this time of year, the world of real estate starts to kind of temper down a little bit, simmer down for a lot of markets. And it seems like there is more news and more updates this October than there has been like throughout the rest of the year.
Well, it's funny because here in Arizona and in the Phoenix area, we heat up at this time. So it's not abnormal for us to start seeing more activity, more things start to go on. Especially, it's funny. I was showing my husband, I saw a little meme the other day that said on October 1st of last year, our temperatures were 113 degrees. This year we were at 98. So our temperatures are very different. Right. People are out walking their dogs again. Yeah. So it's been a little bit nicer out for everybody. But I want to remind everybody that's watching, please let us know where you're watching from. That's helpful for us. We need to know. And again, if you've got questions, let us. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer some of those questions. And I asked a question in my communities tab. I asked this last night. So we'll go over that at the end. But if you haven't answered it yet, go in and make sure you answer that so that we can see kind of what that poll answer is. A year back again. I love it. Trail 7 Brent. I'm watching from Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for being back. I remember you.
Welcome. Yes. Welcome
I know.
Back.
Thanks for coming back. So, are you guys seeing over in California? I'll remind anybody that hasn't seen Joe on my channel before. He's over in the Pasadena area. How are you guys seeing price reductions like we are here?
Thankfully, we are on some properties. It really, the market's very, very interesting right now. Real estate has always been hyper local. It got very general in the last, from 2020 to 2023, it was very general. And the general consensus was prices are going up everywhere, right? And the competition is very high everywhere and inventory is very low everywhere. Now we're starting to finally see the little like idiosyncrasies of each individual market. And on my level, we're even talking about like city to city, not even county to county. And so really, we are seeing price reductions. But homes are still selling relatively quickly. So in Claremont, the area that I do most of my work, we're still seeing most homes selling in about 35 days, which is still really quick. We are still seeing some properties even receive multiple offers. It's not nearly the standard of how it was, several years ago, but homes are still selling well. But what we're seeing now, and this is probably very similar to a lot of other markets in the United States, is what we're seeing now is that buyers are a little bit more picky about what they're jumping after, what they're jumping on, and the deals that they want to make. Buyers definitely have more levers than they did even just 6 months, and certainly more than a year plus ago. So are we seeing price reductions? Yeah, we are seeing some price cuts. But more than that, we're seeing less multiple offer situations. We're seeing buyers get more concessions from sellers in the form of closing costs. And we're seeing buyers actually able to negotiate a little bit. So definitely a little bit of a shift in the market, but by no means, we're still seeing price appreciation in many cities. And the price the price appreciation that we are seeing is very, very small, and it's kind of hit and miss in some areas. So overall, the market is actually kind of sort of a nice, like, even keel at the moment, but it can always change.
I know it. I'm going to say this. Greg is watching from Virginia. Hi, Greg. I hope everyone's doing well there. And we'll see you soon, I think. So thanks for watching. We're kind of, it's funny. Our days on market have definitely increased. We are more than 35 days on the market by a long shot. However, we are seeing stuff that is going quickly. In fact, I just went and I looked at a house for a client of mine this afternoon. First time we could get in the house. It's been coming soon for a month. And I mean, I was the first person there to, be able to get in, take some video for my client, the whole thing. We talked, they didn't even look at the video yet. They called me immediately after I texted it to them. And they said, what did you think? And I said, I think it's a great house. It's dated. It's got, some stuff, but other than that, it's a great house. And they're like, all right, write the offer. And I literally left that, and about 6 cars pulled up. And I told them that, I said, when I left, we had about 6 cars show up after me, and they're like, write it up. So I have a feeling that we might be up against multiple offers, and the house is dated, but it's in good condition. It's in a great location, and it's well maintained. I
literally have the exact same thing happening right now in my town. Really great little starter home, good value for what it is. It's very dated, but it was kept in really good condition, and it's priced appropriately for what it is. And almost the same type of scenario, Sean, that you faced, where it was like, when I pulled up to go see it, by the way, I saw it when it was listed on, it was listed Wednesday around 4 p.m. I saw it Thursday morning on Realtor Caravan. And then I went back Thursday afternoon with a client. And when I showed up with my client yesterday afternoon, there was an agent finishing a showing. And when I left, there was an agent waiting to start another showing.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, the good homes that are priced well for what they are, still getting activity, still selling. If you've got a good location, if it's priced well, if it's presented well, and you're a seller out there, don't fret too much. Don't worry too much, because the serious buyers are still out there for the good products.
They are still out there. However, I'm just going to say this too. We are, and thank goodness, at least in our market, we are seeing for some of those houses that have been sitting on the market for a long period of time. And in my honest opinion, articles here in a second, but they should have never been priced where they were to begin with. And now they're starting to price them in a market, or in a price range that is actually acceptable for that home. The problem now is that now you have all these days on market that you're now dealing with. And now you're combating that with the buyer, because the buyer now looks at that and goes, why has it been on the market for so long? And to say, well, it was overpriced. I mean, we as a buyer's agent can say that, but now the seller's agent is going to kind of, well, we had some other things, and we, they're always going to try to make excuses for why the house was priced. So it's just an interesting thing.
Yeah, for sure it is. And I think that, we're going to still see that there are still some sellers out there that are just not really rooted in reality, that just think that it's still this, this scenario, or, oh, my neighbor a year ago got this price and I want to get that price. I'm like, well, it's not a year ago anymore. Things are a little bit different. And what a great, that example that you gave, Sean, what a great example in proper pricing of a home, right? That's a case in point of why you don't want to overprice. And I faced that situation recently with one of my recent selling clients. And I told him, I said, hey, I think on the best day, your home's $850 on the best day.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, really, you don't think we could get 9? And I said, here's the data. Like, do you see any house that looks like yours that had sold for 900? And I said, personally, I think 850 is like kind of a stretch.
Right.
And I said, ultimately, it's your house, it's your price, but I would suggest like 830, 825. And then they did the old, Joe, let's just try 850 and see what happens.
The old, let's just try.
The old, let's try. I know. And so guess what we did, Sean? We tried. And we were on 850 for a month. And I finally told them, I said, hey, listen, like, you need to do a reduction. And I'm really, don't do anything less than 25,000. Don't do any of this 10,000 reduction. Do 25, show people you're interested, show people you're serious. You want to get it sold. And we did that and we got an offer.
Yeah.
We're negotiating it. I don't know if it's going to work out, but our showings ticked up. We got an offer in, which is the first offer we received. So you still have some sellers, that it's a little bit tougher, and in that market too, that market's a little bit more impacted. So, but yeah, it's just going down to again, these really micro markets and really looking on a neighborhood by neighborhood basis.
Yeah.
Sometimes even smaller than just city by city, right?
Well, I mean, I'm seeing it in my specific neighborhood. My neighbor wants to sell, and I had told her, I've known she wants to sell for a while. I told her quite a few months ago, I said, you need to wait. You need to wait a little bit because I know what you want to get for it and you cannot get that right now. So you need to wait. But knowing my market and knowing my neighborhood very, very well, I talked to her just recently and I said, look, here's what I know. There are a lot of people that want to get in here right now, and there's not another home that is like yours. And it's a fantastic floor plan, especially for a family. There's not another one on the market. You have something that people want.
Yep.
Your price has now changed.
Yeah.
So we're working on getting that, marketed and getting it out there. Cause I know there's people that want that size house. They need that size house and there's nothing.
Yeah.
So let's jump into one of these articles.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the value of a good local real estate agent right there. Knowing those intricacies of the market and what's available and what's needed.
Right. Well, and that's exactly what's needed in the market. So This is an article from Redfin. It says home sellers at a record rate to lure skittish buyers. And I said, we'll just read this and then we'll talk about it. So it says a typical home that sold in August went from nearly 4% under its asking price, the steepest discount for that month since 2019. 1 in every 6, which is 16.7% U.S. home sellers dropped their asking price in August, up from 15.9% a year earlier, and the highest share for that month in records dating back to 2012. It's the highest share for any time of year except the previous 2 months, when the portions of listings with a price cut hit 16.8% in June and 17.4% in July. Note that the share of listings with price drops typically declines from June to July to August because that's a seasonal pattern. This is according to Redfin analysis of MLS data. To determine the share of active listings in the U.S. and in the 50 most populous U.S. metro areas with a price drop, we divided the number of listings with price drops of more than 1% from the previous price in any given month by total number of active listings in the same month. Sorry, that part is a little boring. Not only are the bigger share of for sale homes seeing price drops, but the typical discount from the original price is the biggest it has been since before the pandemic. The typical home that sold in August went for 3.8% less than its original asking price, the steepest discount for that month since 2019. More sellers are cutting prices because high housing costs, economic uncertainty, and rising inventory have made it a buyer's market. While inventory has lost steam in recent months, it's still outpacing demand. In August, home sellers outnumbered buyers by more than 500,000, the second biggest gap in record dating back over a decade. That has led to price drops because when buyers have more options to choose from, they're not willing to pay as much for a home. Supply and demand. Mm-hmm. Sellers are catching up to the buyer's market demand. Many sellers are listing too high. When the sellers realize their home is priced too high, they sometimes bring it down to attract buyers and sometimes pull the home off the market. While some home sellers have come to terms with the realities of today's housing market, many are still hoping to cash in on the pandemic-era housing market when the high demand was pushing many sale prices way over asking price. Price drops can signal weakness to buyers and lead to further cuts. So home sellers should
Yeah, maybe some technical difficulties, Robert. Let me see where. Oh, look, hey, look, it's the Joe Show. You guys, I'm guest hosting for Sean while she's gone. I'm sure she'll pop back in. She was having a little bit of internet problems, but I will run point until Sean gets back. But anyways, so we were talking about that Redfin article, and one of the things that stood out in that Redfin article was they're talking about this big disparity between home buyers and home sellers, and that was an article that Redfin put out. Oh gosh, probably about a month and a half ago or so. And Redfin, Sean.
I know. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
It's okay. I was taking over. I was
Joe.
I was keeping the seat warm. We were talking about the Redfin article with 500,000 more buyers and sellers. And
you
buyers.
are a champ. I'm telling you. Rockstar Joe over here. Sorry, Robert. I know you said there's no sound. I don't know what happened. It kicked me out, so I had to come back. So sorry. I don't even know how much y'all heard. So keep it going, Joe. Tell me where we're at.
we just covered the part in the article where it was referring to a Redfin article that there's 500,000 more sellers than buyers, and the interesting part with that, that specific article. I remember when that article came out, and the data collection on that article was really interesting. Redfin took into account all homes, like new build unoccupied, and even permit started homes. So like the way that they got that number was very generous, because some of those homes weren't even ready to be occupied. They hadn't even been built yet. They took new build, existing, everything, and jammed it all in and said, oh my God, there's 500 more thousand units for sale than there are active buyers. And it kind of got everybody like, oh my gosh. And then of course, as soon as that came out, we had all the doomers and gloomers go, the crash is upon us.
I know.
And it just has yet to happen, because even in the article, we're talking about sellers slashing prices. We saw 2%, 3%, 4%. Keep in mind, that's after we had 10 and 15% appreciation over multiple years from the pandemic. Right. So yes, is a 3% or a 4% price cut ideal for a seller? No. But as a buyer, that also doesn't signal any type of major crash. Yes, is it a better time to buy than it was when prices were higher? Yeah. I mean, a 4% discount is better than a 0% discount.
For sure. Right.
But in the grand scheme of things, I know that some of my buyers were like, Joe, I saw this Redfin article. I'm just going to wait for this crash thing. There's too many sellers. There's not enough buyers. I was like, no.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, I look at our market and everybody wants to talk about how, the inventory is skyrocketing and we've got all this inventory and it's going to bring prices down. We have in our market right now, when I was on MLS last night and I was looking at homes, right? It was 23,000 homes that we have active on the market right now. Now that includes coming soon and the whole thing. So, but 23,000. When our market was crashing, we had 59,000.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah. And that's the very best metric, is available inventory. And then if you start to look even further versus the whole crash, no crash, which I know we're kind of getting off on a tangent here, but homeowners have more equity than they've ever had. There are more homes paid off and owned outright than at any other time in the history of the United States. And there still is such a large majority of homeowners that have under a 4% interest rate. I mean, it's one of these things where could there be a crash? Yeah, but it would take a monumental breakdown in fundamental economics, which I'm not saying can't happen.
For sure, right.
Anything could happen. But as of right now, if you just look at the data that's available, it just doesn't signal any type of mass large correction.
Well, here's the thing that I'm going to say too, because people have been saying on my channel a lot, like home prices just have to come down. The home prices are just too high. It's not the mortgage rate. It's the home prices. They have to come down. And as much as I want to say, I don't totally disagree with that.
Yeah.
The reality is that a home is worth what a buyer is willing to pay.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not, we as real estate agents, I'm just going to say it, we as real estate agents don't just magically make up a number for a home to sell and then it's going to sell it.
Right.
If that was the case, we would not have price reductions like we're having.
Yeah, you're 100% correct, Sean. And I get why people have that feeling.
I do too.
I get it. I sympathize with the way that they feel. And I know that it's difficult for especially for young people that want to buy a home.
Mhm.
I get it. But as you were alluding to, the market does not care what you feel or think should happen. Oh, I feel like homes are overpriced. I feel like there should be a crash. I think it's going to happen. Market doesn't care. And if there are people out there willing to pay prices for a commodity, whether it's a house or a pen or a paperclip, doesn't matter. If someone's out there willing to pay it and someone's going to sell it, then that's the value of it. And what people need to keep in mind are the basics. The basics are, we didn't build homes for a decade after the crash from 2008 to 2018. We didn't build any homes, and we only got more people. We only have more people than we had. So some very fundamental, basic demographic type things that are further adding to the fact that it's going to be hard to have a major downturn.
I agree. So let's look at this. So Snug Life says, if real estate is increasingly a normal market where quality and location matters, how much pressure do sellers in established neighborhoods feel from competition in the new build developments?
Good question.
Great question. I'm going to answer it from on my end from here in the in the Phoenix market. It depends on how close the neighborhood is to those new construction. Like where I am in North Scottsdale, we don't have a lot of new construction. So we don't feel a lot of pressure price point wise from the new construction, because if people want to be in North Scottsdale, then they're wanting a new build. I'm not going to say they're not going to want a new build, but we don't have it here because we don't have any land left. But if you're in some of the outskirts of town where resale is competing against those new builds, there's a lot of downward pressure on the resale homes, because maybe that the new home is comparable in price, but guess what the new build is doing? They're giving you incentives. They're paying your closing costs. They're doing rate buy downs. They're doing everything that they can to make your overall monthly investment in that home more palatable.
Yep.
So that's Joe, you have a different answer than that?
No, very, very similar. I would say, first off, Snug Life, what a phenomenal name.
I know.
I love that. And I would say it's very, very similar here. And you make a great point, Sean. We're both in kind of like major urban areas, right? I'm in the greater Los Angeles area. Technically, my area is suburban, but I think a lot of people would consider it to be urban. We consider it suburban out here. And I think similar goes for you. So similar situation where resale sellers here don't typically compete with new builds, because here a new build is a 3-story condo.
Yeah.
And a resale here is a single family ranch home. And that resale home is going to come with probably a 10,000 square foot lot and a garage and a big backyard and maybe a private pool. And it's going to be on a tree lined street. And it's going to be very idealistic. Whereas that new build, for maybe the same price or a little bit cheaper, it's going to be a 3-story townhome with a patio where you can literally reach out and touch your neighbor if they put their arm out too.
And you're lucky to get one chair on that patio.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's wedged between a freeway and a major avenue, right? Like it's just not as desirable. It's a different type of product. And a lot of people want that California ranch dream. They want the backyard, the front yard, the buffer zone from neighbors. And that's why people pay $1 million to live in my town for an average home. So no, in my area, new home build does really not give resale much direct competition. But I agree with you again that changes when you get into areas like maybe some of the outskirts of Texas, right? Where it's like, oh, the resale homes or whatever. And there's a lot of land out here. Some of these new homes are on a 1/4 acre. And I can get a new home and it is brand new and I can get it for 3% interest rate for the first 2 years or whatever. So,
well, and we even have some new construction areas here, again, in the outskirts of town, like Buckeye and Queen Creek and, places like that great places to live. But now, because you've got new construction, but some of that new construction, or I'm sorry, some of the resale is within the same community as the new construction.
Yeah.
So now you are in direct competition.
And that's difficult for resale because someone's going,
really tough.
Why would I buy your resale home when I could buy brand new for maybe cheaper?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And again, people look at it and they go, well, I put in the backyard and I put all this stuff, because oftentimes, you don't get the backyard with the new construction.
You get the back dirt. That's all you get.
Back dirt, exactly. But so they're like, well, I put in all this stuff, and people are like, yeah, well, I can do my own, or I can put it off, and I can still save money, and then I can get potentially a 4.5% interest rate, locked in for 30 years.
Which that's what's getting people excited right now. I mean,
Huge.
I just talked to 2 clients this week. I said, we can negotiate for a rate buy down in the offer. Like, if you don't ask for anything else and you're just like, hey, give me 10 grand to buy the rate down, and you give a really good offer, there's a decent chance the seller is going to go for it. And you might be able to work your way into a 5.7 or 5.6% interest rate for the life of your loan. I don't even mean a rate buy down. I'm talking about buying points down.
Right.
And they said, Joe, you can negotiate that with the seller. I said, absolutely you can. And right now is when we're starting to see things like that happen.
Right. And we've been seeing that for a while now, because our market, I mean, we flipped into a buyer's market a while ago. And again, I say that, and I'm always cautious when I say that, because buyers want to automatically go, okay, great. Now, the home prices are going to start, crashing down, and the home prices are going to come down. That's not where we are. And to your point earlier, it's like, if you have to take into account all those kind of micro markets. And so we have some of those micro markets in our market that are in a seller's market. And then I'm really cautious with those with those sellers too. I'm like, that doesn't mean that you get to put whatever price you want on the house. Your house is not, skyrocketing in price. Your appreciation is not going to be 5% this year.
Yeah, you got to tell them it's a seller's market unless you overprice, then it's a buyer's market.
Right. It's not, we are not sellers. I think this is the hard part. Seller's market to so many people for those years after COVID meant I can put whatever price I want to on my house and I'm going to get multiple offers. We are not in that market anymore. We have been in the past seller's markets that were very boring.
Yes, absolutely. And that's usually how it is. It's usually not this frenzied, oh my God, very hectic, very fast-paced scenario. And people, I mean, it's kind of interesting that I was alive and in real estate, in 2020 and 21, because 2020 and 2021, that there will be case studies done in college business classes, in real estate classes for decades into the future about what happened in 2020 and 2021, and having boots on the ground. I mean, it really was so, just unreal, so unique, so unprecedented, that we'll never see anything like that again. But I remember, you literally, you didn't even need to put a price on the house. Just say it's for sale, and people just start. How does 700 sound? How does 800 sound? How does 850 sound? And you're just like, oh, great, okay, sure.
Well, I mean, I've been selling real estate for a long time, since 1998, and I've been in markets before where they were crazy, and I worked for developers, and we've had lotteries, and we've done, I was in the market before the market crashed, before selling real estate. So I've seen crazy markets. This was something so different.
Yeah. Just completely different. Yeah. Just very unique with the frenzy.
So Greg says, won't the builders stop offering those incentives as interest rates move lower? Yes, they will. And they're waiting with bated breath for the interest rates to move lower so they can stop offering these incentives, because it's costing them money.
And that's why you're seeing Mr. Pulte.
Yeah.
The Pulte, right? Now he's, HUD director, and he's going, oh, these interest rates need to come down. They need to come down. They need to come down. Well, of course he wants them to come down. Number one, it's going to make it so home builders, which he's a home builder. Right. It's going to make it so home builders can keep more money in their pocket, because they're not going to have to offer you an incentive, because the Fed is going to offer you that incentive by just having a naturally lower interest rate. And then number two, that also makes them more money, because they got to take a loan to build all those homes. Right. They got to take construction and business loans. And if they get a lower rate, that means their overhead and cost goes down on the new home that they're building you. And so lower,
and their margins go up.
And their margins go up.
Yeah.
So their margins go up a ton, because they don't have to give you as much in incentives, and it costs less. Mm-hmm. So their margins really go up, and it makes it easier for the consumer to still buy the home. It's a win-win for builders. For sure. I mean, and again, this goes back to like in the article when I got cut off. Sorry about that again, everybody. With all these people saying like, oh, there's all these homes and there's all these people, the demand, and the demand is low. Again, that's where I want to go. The demand being low, and them saying that, we don't have the demand for the amount of homes. I continue to say this. I feel like that is an absolutely arbitrary number that they're putting out there. I know personally, for me, I have buyers that are ready to buy. We are just having a very hard time finding something. Very hard. Yeah. So they are waiting like rabid dogs almost to buy something. They're like, what can I buy? And every one of my buyers this last week, I think I've had this conversation 3 or 4 times with
with different buyers of mine. And they've all said to me, Sean, am I looking for a unicorn? Am I being really picky? Is what I'm looking for, does it even exist? And my conversation back to them is no. You're not being too picky.
No.
You are not looking for a unicorn. But I've said this too. I'm like, here in the Scottsdale market where we have a lot of our homes were built in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And as crazy as it sounds, that it was a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago at the same time.
I know.
But styles of homes have so drastically changed.
Yeah.
So when you walk into one of these houses that was built in the late 90s and it's basically original, maybe they've done a few updates to it, people are like, I have to gut this entire house. And then I add on top of it, if the owners haven't updated their air conditioning units, haven't updated their roof, haven't updated their water heater, haven't updated like all of those things, and they all just start adding up dollars. And when they put this high price on it, this is the problem right now that I'm seeing here in my market. Those are the houses that I'm just seeing price reduction. And they want to say, well, I've updated things. I'm like, I walk in and you've got 5 different floorings in your house.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine that it's great that you put in new carpet 3 years ago in a bedroom, but that doesn't count.
No, it does not count. And again, you've got 5 different floorings in your house, which tells me you've updated your house over time. I totally get it. But there's no consistency in the house. And then people look at that and they go, I have to rip all of this out.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
So those are the houses that I'm seeing the major price reductions on, because any buyer that's looking at that is like, I don't want to pay that. And then when we look at the flip side of people saying, well, the prices just need to come down. What buyers or what sellers need to understand as well, those homes out there that have been remodeled really nicely, they've been maintained really, really well. Guess what the buyers are willing to do? Overpay.
Yeah.
They will overpay for that house. They're like, I want that one because there's nothing that I have to do. I can move into it tomorrow. I don't have to do any updating. I'll give them $50,000 more. It's worth it to me.
And it makes sense too, right, Sean? Because like if you think to yourself, okay, I have a house for, I'm going to make up numbers, 500 and a house for 450. The 450 needs 50K to get it to where I want. The 500 is in there, done, move in, right? I think a lot of buyers are feeling to themselves like, man, 450, and I'm already gonna have this payment. It's a large, this large payment, and my budget's 500. Yeah, like theoretically, I have $50,000 left in the budget, but there's a difference between financing $50,000 in your mortgage and then having to pay a contractor $50,000 writing a check in one shot. And those two things are not the same. They're very, very different. So for a person that's like, oh, and I always thought this was interesting. And I had to explain this to some first-time buyers. They go, hey, Joe, our budget for a house is 500. But if we find something that's like 425, 450 that needs, 30, 40, 50 grand, it'll still come in under budget. And I'm like, well, but do you have an extra $40,000 hanging
in your
out
bank account?
Somewhere?
Right.
Like you have to have that money. I understand mortgage wise, you have that, but we can't take 450 in a mortgage and then also take 50,000 and say, give us 50,000 cash, do 50,000 in a mortgage. And that's how we're going to do it.
Right.
No, that doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work like that. I know. And it's just crazy. Our big things here are roofs.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean, and did you guys have torrential rain last week or so? We made the news. We had so much rain. And it's funny because I said on my live last Friday, I said, there's going to be a lot of agents out there making these phone calls to their buyers agents going, so the roof leaked and the seller's working on getting it fixed. In my neighborhood, since that rain, 3 roofs on my way out, all being redone.
Yep.
So the roofs here are a big deal again, because they're all at the end of their life for the houses that are in my area. Yeah.
Yeah. And hanging out in 130 degrees for 8 months a year for 20 years. That'll take a toll on any building material.
It will take a toll for sure. For sure. All right. I want to jump over to another article here because this is interesting because I think that a lot of people here that there's some parts of the country that are, the home prices are still going up.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of activity. So this is why home values are rising in half the country and falling in the other. And I know this says July, but it still has some good information because it was actually written in August. So it says home values fell in half of the nation's largest markets over the past year. Shoppers who can afford a home, excuse me, are gaining leverage in negotiations. High cost and economic uncertainty have pushed their competition to the sidelines. Sellers are cutting prices at record rates and try to entice buyers. Home values rose over the last year in 25 major markets, mostly in the Midwest and Northeast. Demand is high, especially for affordable sales, but building restrictions put a damper on new and higher density projects. Sellers have fewer options to move up, and existing inventory is still below pandemic averages in many metros. Meanwhile, home values have fallen year over year in 25 markets, most of them situated in the South or the West, restoring a tiny chunk of affordability lost in the early pandemic run-up in prices. In the South, builders have kept up with their demand better, easing price pressure and giving homeowners options to move into. Buyers are likely still running into affordability walls in expensive Western coastal metros like San Francisco and San Diego. So the price growth divide linked to recent success of builders. I'm jumping back over to make sure that I'm still alive, because the last time I did this, I went dark on y'all. Sorry. Price growth divide linked to recent success of builders. So it says home value appreciation is nearly flat at the national average, rising just 0.2% over the past year. Lower rates and low price growth have slightly improved affordability. Monthly mortgage costs are down $19 over the past year, but typical payments are still nearly $1,000 per month higher than before the pandemic. Among the 50 largest U.S. metros, home values rose the most in the past year in Cleveland, Hartford, Connecticut, Louisville, Detroit, and Buffalo. However, these gains are modest compared to the rampant double-digit growth seen 3 to 4 years ago. Florida and Texas, both former hotspots for housing demand, have skyrocketing prices, are home to the major metros seeing home values fall fastest. Annual declines in typical home values are largest in Tampa, Austin, Miami, Orlando, and Dallas. Affordability and access is gradually improving where builders have been able to keep up with demand, showing why building more homes is so critical. Metros where price corrections are steepest are among those with the largest increase in inventory compared to before the pandemic. All of those metro areas except Miami rank among the top 10 for home building permits in 2020 to 2024. When demand for homes surged, builders were able to respond fastest in areas with fewer land restrictions. That gave buyers more options and sellers more homes to move into, freeing up existing supply. New construction is slowing the growth of nationwide housing deficit, but a gap of 4.7 million units persists. The underlying demand for homes is out there at lower price levels. And that, I mean, again, I feel bad because they all want to point the finger to the builders. And I keep going back to this one. Builders are not going to overbuild and ever run the risk of falling into what they fell into in 2008. They're just not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, once bit, twice shy.
Right.
It's really not. And we used to have more builders before 2008. There were a lot of little builders that just went away. They got their clocks clean and they said, forget that. I'm getting into a different business now. Like I'm not being a home builder anymore. And obviously whenever there's a consolidation in suppliers for a product, it's going to hurt the supply of that product. And so now we're really banking on, 6 to 8 large home builders to really carry the weight of home building in our nation. And yikes, that's a tall order for them. And also home builders aren't going to be able to do any good in the metro areas, the urban areas, and even some of the highly populated suburban areas. They're just not, you can't fix that. If there's no land, the builders can't fix the problem of housing.
Well, that's the thing. And that's why in certain areas, like where you are, where I am, with no more real land, home values are going to continue to rise.
I tell people that if you're in Southern California and you have a single family detached home that is single story and you're on a lot of at least 10,000 square feet or more, you've won. You've won the real estate game, because what you have will never be produced again.
Mhm.
It is out of production. It is back ordered. It's gone, discontinued. And there are only going to continue to be people that want that product more and more as we get into future generations. And as more and more people still go, oh, I really like the idea of the backyard where the dog can run around and the kids can play, and the 3 bedrooms and the 3 bathrooms. And like, I don't want to climb up 3 flights of stairs
Right.
to go to bed every night. I don't want to do that. It's only going to keep the products that people do want more valuable. So
we're like you guys in that we have single level homes as well. The ranch that everyone calls it, right? And so we get people that come here from like the Midwest, East Coast, and I have that conversation with them. I'm like, so would you be okay with a 2-story? And they're like, well, I don't even know that I ever thought about having a 1-story. Like everything we have here is 2 stories or
Right.
3 stories with, 2 stories with a basement.
Yeah.
And so then they get that in their idea and they go, oh yeah, I'd like a single story. And my conversation then leads to, okay, what's your price point? Because depending on where they want to be and their price point is whether or not I can say, we might be able to get you yes, you can have a single level house, or it's, you know what, at that price point, you're probably going to go 2-story.
Yeah.
Just because it's the land cost.
Yeah, the land cost. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I tell clients here, if you have, anything under 2,200 square feet, single story on a single family lot, that's great. And then if you have one of these rare homes, it's like 2,200 to 2,800 single story. Oh boy. I mean, that's a real winner, because that's impossible to find. People still want them, and the homes that size will never be built again on a single level ever.
Yeah.
They'll never be built unless you go way out to ranch country, farm country, desert country.
Right.
It's never going to happen here.
Right. So Trail 70 Brent says home prices in Columbus, Ohio are still rising and homes are selling. Yeah, they're for sure. I mean, in certain areas they are.
Columbus is hot right now.
Yeah. The median home value here is between 450 and 500. So our highest price, it got to 480 in May of 2022. It's come down from that a little bit, but we're still around, like, I think the last time I looked, it was like 465-ish.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you what mine is. It'll make people frustrated.
No, this is the entire Phoenix area. So I mean, the area is vast. It's huge.
That's true. So the Phoenix Metro. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
The Phoenix Metro area. I mean, if you want to drill down into Scottsdale, it's over 1 million.
Okay. I was going to ask, like, I wonder what Scottsdale is.
Over 1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, in all of the Phoenix Metro, we were at 480 was our peak in May of 2022. And then now we're at about 465. So, I mean, it's come down, but again, I pulled this up a lot.
It's interesting. I mean, that data makes perfect sense, Sean, because you said in May of 2022, we were at 480, and then we dropped down to 460. May of 2022 was when interest rates started to really tick up.
Right.
They really started to go up, and we saw, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7. What the heck? Right. And so it would make sense that as rates went up, the average price did settle back down.
So that goes to the point, like everybody's like, the home prices need to come down. The home prices need to come down. And I'm not, again, interest rates going up did kind of force home prices to come down a bit.
Yeah.
But everybody now is freaking out. Well, if the interest rates go down, then home prices are going to start skyrocketing again.
Possible.
I don't say skyrocket.
I wouldn't say skyrocket. Now, I wouldn't say skyrocket, but certainly as interest rates come down, the possibility of pricing pressure to increase. Yeah.
But this is what I'm going to say too. I feel like buyers, after all the COVID stuff, I feel like buyers are kind of taking a beat a little bit, and they're like, I don't want to rush into that. The buyers that I'm working with, like, they want to buy, but they're like, I'm not rushing into this. I'm not just going to go out and buy anything.
I agree. And I think a large part of that is because, 2020, 2021, people, literally that money was free.
Yeah.
I mean, there was almost no cost to borrow.
Right.
And if I didn't have just bought a home and I wasn't a homeowner, I would have bought anything. I would have been like, I don't care. I just want equity. I want to not pay rent. And it's right now to borrow this money is basically free, which is unheard of. And so I would have done the same thing. I would have just bought a house just to buy it. I wouldn't even care what it was like. I would have been like, sure, here, take it. I just build that equity, take advantage of this free money. And then from there, we can let our investment grow, sell it down the line and find the real house forever. But I can understand why, it was so crazy. So no, I don't think prices are going to skyrocket. I think buyers will still be more diligent because yes, 5.99% will mentally unlock a lot of buying possibilities for buyers.
Yeah.
But 5.99 is a lot different than 2.99. It's a lot different.
It is, but it's also a lot different than 7 or 8%.
Yeah, definitely.
So I mean, I definitely think that it's gonna free up, but I don't think 5.99% is gonna make prices grow overnight.
No, what it'll do, it might bring more buyer competition in, and they're really desirable homes. You might see multiple offer situation, and you could see some price going up. But just interest rates went to 5.99. All houses are more expensive now. That's not gonna be a thing.
No, I agree. I'm going to pull this up because this is something that we look at usually every Friday because this is our local market to talk about. These are the top 17 markets here. So
anything over 110 is a seller's market. Did I remember?
Anything over 110 is in a seller's market. Anything between 110 and 90, and we're in a balanced market. Anything below 90, we're in a buyer's market. So this shows you. So Paradise Valley for the last month and a half was in number 1. So they lost 21 points in a month. But that's not abnormal because this is our ultra luxury market. So not abnormal at all. We have more homes probably that have just come on the market in this area because this is a really seasonal area. So now some of the homes that had been pulled off the market for the summer have come back on, which is going to give you more inventory, which is going to drop that
Makes
number.
Sense. Yeah.
But Fountain Hills is up 4%. Scottsdale's up 6%. Chandler is up 1%. Gilbert's up 10%. Avondale, Cave Creek, those are all in sellers markets. And then we've got Mesa, Phoenix, Glendale in balance. And then Peoria, Tempe, Goodyear, Surprise, Queen Creek, Buckeye, and Maricopa. And all of these, with the exception of really kind of Peoria, Tempe, are kind of in the outskirts. I mean, there's some parts of Goodyear that are closer in. But they're kind of all on the outskirts of, like Queen Creek, Buckeye, Maricopa, all Surprise, all on the outskirts, and all have a lot of new construction. Yeah. And that's one of the things
that it's a buyer's market because there's just less people being pulled there. And the people that are getting pulled there have options when it comes to buying. And this is why we say, Sean, the 3 most important things with real estate is location, location, location.
Yes. Yeah.
The top, all the top markets are the areas where you're like, oh, this is where all the stuff is. This is like,
and by the way, all these areas, let's see, Fountain Hills, there was some new construction. It's pretty well gone. Paradise Valley, if you're getting new construction, it's a brand new, like tear down, full on custom home. Scottsdale, not a ton of new construction. If it is, it's in an infill and it's like what you were talking about earlier, where it's like a townhouse condo, something like that. Chandler doesn't have a ton of new construction anymore. Gilbert has some, but it's on the outskirts, getting closer to like Queen Creek-ish area. Avondale, there's some, but not a ton. Cave Creek, none.
So, I mean, how interesting. Like, here's just a beautiful little case study, a little vignette of what new construction can do. The top half of the list, huge, large in part sellers or balanced market, very little new construction.
Yeah.
The bottom portion of the list, not as desirable location, tons of new construction, and it's in much more of a buyer's market.
Right.
So it's very interesting to see, just kind of how that works and how that plays off each other. And it goes to show you that, people want established neighborhoods. People want established neighborhoods. They want the product they want. They, a lot of these people, they're saying no to the new build with the postage stamp backyard or patio and the 3 flights of stairs. And they're like, no, I'll take the older home. It's in a better neighborhood. It's old, but it's spacious. So that's another testament of, builders need to really hone in and build what people want to buy and where they want to buy it. And to your point, Sean, it's not just the builder's fault. We're not going to be able to build our way out of, the inventory issues. No. So I'm sure that builders are going to continue to identify opportunities and do the best that they can do because they're in the business of selling homes. But it's just an interesting juxtaposition just on that list of, wow, The sellers markets are the older, more established communities where there's less.
They're closer in, right? They're closer into the city. They're closer into some of the major things. They're closer to the airport. They're closer into like the shopping and the dining and all that kind of stuff that a lot of people are that they really, really like.
Yeah.
And again, those neighborhoods on the outskirts, it's not that they're bad. They're still nice neighborhoods.
And the buyers will go there. The buyers that really want to buy, the buyers that are like, I need the value, and this is, you know, where I can afford to be, and this is where I want to be. They'll be there. Yeah.
So Greg says, isn't there a big residential component to the new Arizona Cardinals headquarters move to North Scottsdale? So that is, I just read that, and I've been looking into this. I think I just saw it yesterday. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to read the whole article to see if there's a residential component to it, but that's a big, big move for the Cardinals, and it will be very big for Scottsdale. Very big. I'm excited about it, to be honest. I think it'll be great. But what's interesting, a lot of people think that all the because we've got baseball, basketball, football, as major sports teams here. We used to have hockey, but they unfortunately left. But a lot of people think that all of those people, all those athletes, they all live in Scottsdale, and they don't.
Right.
They don't. Yeah. They live closer to where they practice. And so like a lot of the football players live kind of more in that Ahwatukee kind of area. Sometimes Paradise Valley. Basketball players have a tendency to live, you know, Paradise Valley, sometimes Scottsdale, you know, baseball, kind of the same thing. But it's interesting because everybody thinks, oh my gosh, they all live in Scottsdale. And they don't always. They don't. And some of them live like where their family is. I mean, there's a few people that have family live here, and that's where they live, closer to where their family is. So it's just an interesting thing. All right, I wanted to read. Okay, so here's another article. I'm going to pull this up because this is local. Oh, sorry. I'm going to switch over to this one. This one says nearly 1 in 5 homes slashed prices last month despite falling mortgage rates. And this is a local article. So it says nearly 20% of home listings reduced their price last month in what experts say is another sign of the housing market. Oh gosh, sorry. Continues to slow. According to the September housing trend report from Realtor.com, buyers still have the upper hand in the current market, especially as we approach the best time to buy. But the power depends on where you live and how much you're willing to spend on your home. Here's what they're saying. What we've uncovered is that price reductions are more common at the lower end of the market, while higher priced sellers are more likely to hold firm. That helps explain why median prices nationally and many metropolitan areas look steady, even as buyers at more affordable price points are seeing more room to negotiate. Buyers had more homes to choose from in September. Active listings are up 17% over last year. Nationwide homes for sale topped 1 million for the 5th consecutive month. Homes spent longer on the market for the 18th straight month, with the typical home taking 62 days to sell. They're spending even longer on the market in Florida and the West, particularly Las Vegas. The national median list price remained steady at $425, but dropped 3.6% in the West. The number of actively listed homes is up 17% compared to the same time last year, making the 23rd consecutive month of year-on-year inventory gains. The growth, however, has slowed over the past 4 months. Of the 20% of sellers who slashed their prices last month, most were in the $350,000 to $500,000 range. The average rate on the 30-year U.S. mortgage ticked up for the second straight week, but they're still at their lowest in months. The average long-term mortgage rate rose this week to 6.34% from 6.3% last week. Mortgage buyers Freddie Mac said on Thursday. A year ago, the average rate was 6.12%. So the best week to buy a house, the timeline, according to Realtor.com, the best week to buy a house is October 12th to October 18th, and that is approaching. So I have said this time and time again.
You said this when we first met several years ago, Sean. You were like, oh, the big time for me is like October, November.
End of the year is the best time to buy, no matter if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. It is historically here.
So what does that mean, Sean?
Time to buy.
That means that all of those people out there that watch Sean's channel, this is your cue to call her and get pre-approved and get ready to buy that house, because the best week to buy a home in the greater Phoenix area is upon us momentarily.
I know. And I think it could even be November, December. I don't dial it down to just 1 week.
Yeah, that's an interesting claim. I don't know how you could ever say this is the best week.
I know. I don't think I can say that it's the best week, but it's the end of the year is always the best time. It's when we see the biggest list price to sales price kind of gap.
Yeah.
Right. And those sellers are more apt to negotiate. And not only on price, but on repairs and things, just to keep the deal going.
Of course. And also too, if you're a home buyer out there, as we know, there's a 15-degree difference this year than last year. So, you won't be sweating as much when you go from the car to the house.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not kidding you when I tell you our temperature changes like this, and the amount of people that are outside in the morning walking right now with their dogs and just outside, like so happy. Everybody's like, can you believe the weather? It's so great. Like the weather becomes a very big topic when the weather shifts.
It is not just falling off my arm.
No. And we all look around to one another and we go, this is why we live here. Yeah. This is why we suffer through the summer. It's the truth. It is the truth for sure. All right. I'm going to jump over. I'm refreshing this really quick because I want to get the right number. So I'm going to jump over to this is my little,
yes.
I know. My little question, my little poll says sellers are cutting prices at record level. Why do you think they're doing it? 67% says homes were priced from the start or overpriced from the start. 26% say they're panicking before a crash. 2% said they just want to move quickly. And 4% say buyers are finally calling the shots. I'm glad to see that 67% of the people, I feel like that's the right answer.
Yeah. And really, I don't think that answer to, I understand why people go there. I get it. I totally understand it. I don't think it applies. I think that there's something to be said. There's a combination for all those. Remember, they just want to move quickly. Absolutely. Builders don't want to hold on to inventory. It does nothing for them. At least if a seller goes, oh, so what if it takes me 6 months to sell the home? I still get to live in it. Like, I'm here. It's my home. For a builder, no, that is not the case. It does them no good to hold on inventory.
It costs them money.
It costs them money. Builders are in the business of building the home as quick as possible and selling it as quick as possible.
Right. So,
and then obviously the last one, buyers are finally calling the shots. I wouldn't say they're calling the shots, but buyers finally have a little bit of leverage. And that's also adding to that as well.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I'm with you. I don't think that buyers aren't calling the shots. However, they can actually not have to, overbid on that, or not overbid, but like pay over list price. Right. They're not usually competing against multiple offers anymore. They can actually ask the seller to make repairs, and the seller does them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is putting things in, not totally in their hands, but it's giving them some more leverage to actually make a deal.
Yeah. Precisely.
And walk away feeling a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even during the pandemic, when I had buyers that were having to bid, sometimes $150,000 to $200,000 over the list price to get the house.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that any of them walked away going, oh my gosh, I wish I hadn't have done this. I can honestly say that I don't have any buyers that felt that way, at least that I know about. And I stay in touch with them. But I do feel like now buyers are feeling a little bit more like, okay, at least I was able to negotiate a little bit more. At least the seller gave on their price and was able to, they fixed some things for me. And
or even just, hey, I have like a week where I can think about if I want to buy this home or not. Like, even that is a welcome change from what we were doing for so many, from 2020 to 2023 even. Yeah. It was like, hey, this house just came up on the market. You got about 4 hours to determine if you want to put an offer in or not.
Well, and I remember during that time, it was like a mad dash to the phone to call the agent, and hopefully the agent would answer.
Yeah.
To say, do you have any offers? What does the seller want?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does a seller want? Absolutely. What does a seller? Yeah.
I'll never forget when I made the phone call that we've all made as agents many times before. Hey, client wants to write an offer. What's your seller looking for? Particular terms, major disclosures, yada, yada, yada. Finally, how many offers do you have? And this listing agent takes a big, deep sigh. She goes, I have 53 offers.
Oh my. I never had anyone at 53. I had one at 13.
Yeah. We did 53 once. There was a couple 40s. And I'm just like, what are you even supposed to do? Right.
I know.
What do you do? So,
I know it's an uphill battle. I mean, and that was hard.
Yeah.
Because the amount of, I mean, I think thankfully I had a lot of buyers that won, but I had some buyers that did not.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard because they're like, oh my gosh, I really like this house. I really hope we get it. And to make that call and say, we didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, especially when they're at the top of their price point already. Yeah. And they always ask like, what did it go for more? I'm like, it went for more. And they're like, well, there's nothing we could do.
Yeah.
You know, nothing.
Nope.
So it's challenging.
Yep.
But the market is definitely, I mean, it's moving on. We are seeing price reductions. I kind of welcome the price reductions that we're seeing, to be honest. I don't think the buyers need to freak out. I think that right now, what I'm telling all of my buyers to just be patient. It will happen. Yep. You are not looking for a unicorn. You are not being too picky, because that's the question that I get asked all the time. And you just hang in, be patient. And for sellers, really, if you're not getting some really good advice, and when I say good advice, like some advice that maybe you don't want to hear, you know, about your house, unless your house is absolutely, I mean, if you have kept meticulous maintenance of your house and everything is updated, then you should be hearing that, right? But if you haven't, and your house is a little bit dated, and you're not hearing like, okay, so here's what the buyers are going to be saying when they walk through the house. I just want to prepare you. Like, here's what the buyers are going to be saying. If you're not hearing that kind of stuff from agents, talk to some other ones.
Yep, I'd agree.
That would be my advice.
Yeah. Sometimes the thing you need to hear the most is not pleasant.
Well, it's not what you want to hear, you know?
Yeah, but you got to know. I had to do that. I had to tear this poor guy's house apart. You know, you asked me for feedback, and I said, hey, the house is nice, but this is a problem, this is a problem, this problem, this problem, and I can smell that you have a dog. Yeah. And I said, I'm really sorry, but if I was trying to sell a house, I'd want to know these things so I could fix them. And he said, I really appreciate you telling me that, so that I can now relay this to my sellers. I said, that's fine. Make me look like the bad guy. That's fine. Just tell them I said it. I don't care. They're not my clients, right? Like, you know, they do you a solid. And he was really appreciative of it, because now he knows what he needs to tune up and what he can tell his clients. Though sometimes this is me talking real estate on real estate. I have a little problem sometimes with these agents that are a little too scared to tell their sellers, and they want to lean on the showing agents, the buyer's agents, to give them all the bad news and to say, give them the ammo. What they said. I didn't say it. They said it. So I get a little like, I'm like, this is your part of your job as the listing agent, like, to be honest. Yeah, sometimes gotta have some conversation. That's why it's why they signed a contract with you. It's why they hired you. It's why they're going to pay you a bunch of money. You got to have the difficult conversation every once in a while. You shouldn't want to work with somebody that's just a yes man. Oh yeah, is that the price you want to get? Yeah, then let's do that. Yeah. Oh yeah, no. You don't need to do anything to your house. It's just fine. Like, you need somebody that is in this, doing it every day. Yep. And can actually give you a really good advice. Yep. My opinion. But yeah, you're right. So, well, Joe, I appreciate you hanging out with me on a Friday afternoon. Yes, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's always fun. Always fun. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time, everyone. See you guys.